Mr. Mayor, we're live.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. I'd like to welcome everybody to the first meeting of 2026. I hope everyone had a safe and happy holiday. Before we read the land acknowledgement, I just want to ask everybody in chamber to silence their cell phone. And if you come up to speak during open forum or through deputations, take time to adjust the mic so you're speaking directly in the end of it, as this is being live streamed and recorded for YouTube after the meeting. We want to make sure everybody at home can hear us. The Township of Oro-Medonte acknowledges that we are situated on the traditional land of the Anishinaabe people and ancestral territory for the Huron-Wendat. The Anishinaabe include the Odawa, the Ojibwa, and the Potawatomi nations, collectively known as the Three Fires Confederacy. It continues today as a home for diverse Indigenous people, including the historic Métis community in Penetang-Washing. The Anishinaabe people continue to have an enduring relationship with this land, specifically the Chippewas of Rama First Nations, the Chippewa Tri-Council, and the Williams Treaties First Nations. The Huron-Wendat nations also continue to pay respect and protect their ancestors and heritage on this land. We honor the Indigenous history and culture that has thrived for millennia in the territories and treaties that bind us together as partners in the spirit of a shared, sustainable, and prosperous future. We're all treaty people. Our commitment begins with acknowledging the truth so that we can move forward together towards reconciliation. Which Councillor Clark will be joining us. He's just running a little behind, but should be here shortly. Madam Clerk, may we have a motion to adopt the agenda, please?
Moved by Shell, seconded by Young. Be it resolved that the agenda for the council meeting of Wednesday, January 14, 2026 be received and adopted as amended to add as item 4D, Sean Bin, CAO, and Kelly Watson, Director, People and Culture, Read Labor Relations, Employee Negotiations, Collective Bargaining.
All in favor? That is carried. May we have a motion to go past 4 hours if necessary, please?
Moved by Young, seconded by Bard. Be it resolved that Rule 14.20A, as per the procedural bylaw number 2023-043, be suspended in order to allow the meeting to proceed past the 4-hour adjournment requirement if necessary.
All in favor? That is carried. Does any members have a pecuniary interest to declare at this point in time? Seeing none, if you find out you are in that situation, you can declare at that time and we can make that change if needed. Closed session. May we have a motion to go into closed, Madam Clerk?
Moved by Hutchison, seconded by Lavoie. Be it resolved that we do not go into closed session at 3:06 p.m. to discuss education or training of members in accordance with Section 239, 3.1 of the Municipal Act 2001, as amended, Solicitor-Client Privilege, Expropriations Act, RSO 1990, CE 26, and Labor Relations, Employee Negotiations, Collective Bargaining.
Call the vote. All in favor? And that is carried, so we'll see everyone in close. Thank you very much. Full in one square.
Mr. Mayor, we're live.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. Welcome back, everyone. Could we have a motion to rise from close and report out, please?
Moved by Young, seconded by Hutchison. Be it resolved that we do now rise at 4:07 PM and report on closed session items 4B and D.
All in favor? That is carried. And just so the public knows, Councillor Clark did join us in closed, but his computer's updating. So once it completes the update, he'll be visual on the screen. Madam Clerk, could we have a motion for 4B, please?
Moved by Shell, seconded by Lavoie. Be it resolved that the confidential correspondence and verbal information presented by Ed Valboon, Russell Christie LLP, re-education or training of members in accordance with Section 239, 3.1 of the Municipal Act, 2001 as amended, solicitor client privileged, Expropriations Act, RSO 1990, CE 26, be received.
All in favor? That is passed. And could we have a motion for item 4D?
Moved by Young, seconded by Bard. Be it resolved that the confidential correspondence presented by Sean Binns, CAO, and Kelly Watson, Director of People and Culture, Labor Relations, Employee Negotiations, Collective Bargaining, be received.
All in favor? That is carried. And can we have a draft motion for the set of minutes, please?
Moved by Hutchison, seconded by Lavoie. Be it resolved that the draft minutes of the council meeting held on Wednesday, December 10, 2025 be received and adopted as printed and circulated.
All in favor? That is carried. We're now on to item 6, recognition of achievements and introductions. We don't have any, but I would like to recognize and thank the operation team on behalf of council. We know we all got a significant amount of snowfall over the Christmas break that started and never stopped. So I want to thank the team for an excellent job of cleaning off the roads. And just to put things in perspective of how much snow we have received, Moonstone received 245 centimeters. And a full season on average is 240 centimeters. Horseshoe Valley received 220 centimeters over the break, in which a full average season is 180 centimeters, so that's 40 more centimeters. And then throughout the entire township, we received almost an entire year in the other areas. So I know there were challenges from time to time, but I think the Operations Department did an amazing job, and on behalf of council, thank you very much. We have no public meetings this week. We're now at 8 deputations, and we have a deputation from Rebecca Rogers on behalf of the Hawkstone Community Hall. I'd like to welcome Rebecca to the chamber, and if you'd like to just adjust the mic so it's comfortable, and if you'd like to proceed when you're ready, please.
Okay, thanks so much. Is that working okay? Yeah, great. Really nice to be here. Fun to see the workings and the behind the scenes people that keep this amazing township running. And I might even start with just building on Mayor Greenlaw's thanks, because yeah, the same thing. The operations team or the maintenance people for our hall are phenomenal. And yeah, same thing for all this snow. I know they have our little calendar, and you know, when we get a group of people that are there, you know, we get the little call. Do you think that the snowplows will have been there? It's like, it's our township. They'll be there, and they are, and it's just amazing. And while I have the opportunity, I'll extend the thanks to, on behalf of our community and me as a lifetimer of Oro-Medonte, to extend the thanks. It's a bit after the fact, but honestly, after that, the challenges from this past year with the ice storm, everybody commends you for the efforts and the work that was required. Our little hall, you know, we were affected because we had with the power outage, had a pretty major flood, and our basement was kind of destroyed. But honestly, Josh and Jordan and the whole team, with trees falling everywhere they were, even when they would hear from us, they were so respectful, so polite, so helpful. And it just, you know, speaks volumes for the culture that's here. And we are very, very appreciative of it. So I wanted to have the opportunity to start with that. Thanks. So thank you. I'm sending regrets from our vice president, who is a busy working mom and had last minute things, and regrets from about 20 other people in our very active hall that said, I'll come with you. It's like, thanks, Jeanette already told me we have to, so we are respecting that as much as I'd love to share the enthusiasm of our amazing community hall people. So in terms of our business here, hopefully, I don't know if you got a chance to read the document ahead of time, hopefully a fairly straightforward request, not necessarily straightforward to pass, but I won't go through the actual document, but just in, the elevator pitch in terms of what it is really that, we have an hourly rate for all of our regular programming and people that rent the hall for their, a birthday or a celebration of life on the weekend, and all happy with that. And obviously that we're happy to promote that as much as we can. Very lucky with our amazing board and our community that our programming is phenomenal at the hall right now. Based on the little business plan we had to put together last year, it turned out that we had 7,500 people through our hall last year with all of our programming. So we're pretty proud of that. But as things have changed, no discredit from the people that were giving us the information, we take the blame for the fact that we kind of missed understanding how we were moving ahead with the bylaws, with the new rental rates and stuff. Always in the past, we knew that there was hourly rental rates, but we still had some control over certain categories of renters and had some input into that. Totally agree with the fact that it's become more consistent as the township has taken over more of the infrastructure in terms of how the rentals work. But we kind of missed the boat about the fact that we didn't have this little protected category on the side. And so I feel badly that we didn't address it before the bylaws actually went through, which is why I'm here right now to do it after the fact. So we do have this one little category of renters, which is, as you will have seen, is the not-for-profit community benefit group. So this year, 3 of those groups, as indicated, are our Hawkstone Singers, a NIA Seniors Program, and our pipe band. And they are 3 groups that have been at the hall for many, many years, with the understanding that they pay an annual rate, and that's a predictable rate for them. It's a rate they can manage. They're totally not for profit. It's the money for that rental is coming from the participants. For those particular groups, if they, I think I put it in your document, I won't go into the details, but if they were to pay the actual hourly rate, it more than triples or quadruples what their rate would be during the year. Beyond what they can handle, we would lose those groups for sure, without a doubt. So at first we thought we were going to come and just ask for the exemption for those 3 groups for this year and then see what happens. And then luckily our vice president is a lawyer and actually is very good for directing us and is able to say, no, go for the whole category, which makes so much sense for us and hopefully you. So we're developing an exemption category with those criteria, that if there's a group that is not for profit and we feel really enhances our community, then they would fit into that category of having an annual fee plus their taxes plus their insurance. That annual fee might get changed year by year depending on, but right now that annual fee for us is the $500 rate per year plus taxes plus insurance. So that is what we're asking, is if we can develop a permanent exemption category for that criteria for our group. So hopefully that's enough of that was a long elevator ride, sorry. But if you have any questions to ask, please feel free.
Thank you very much, Rebecca. Council, I'll open the table or the floor now for anyone who would like to ask questions of clarity in regards to this. Deputy Mayor Lavoie.
Certainly. Thank you. And thank you very much for the presentation and all the work that you do for the community. It's very valued.
Yeah,
would there be any benefit in the corporation, I suppose, or board taking over the entire undertaking of determining what these categories would be and what the cost could be? Would that be something of interest, or?
Well, that's how it was. That's how it was run. Each board kind of had their own, and we do have our own bylaws and our own constitution, but it has sort of merged, and maybe somebody else can speak to how that's all been taken over administratively. But now under the auspices of Jody, I think Jody Grubb and her team, all the rentals now go through the township. And so that's why the bylaws established those rates, so that they're, it's all very established for them. When somebody reaches out to them and asks for a rental, they know exactly how much they're paying. So I can't give you the whole background about how that changed, but
Yeah, I think what we want to be sure of is, and I appreciate your and respect the request, and I think we need to have staff come back with a report and look at some options to how, because our job is, not just to have the halls there, but to make sure the halls are sustainable and that they can work within a business model that makes them sustainable and in order to be around for years and years and years to come. So I think I do respect, and I think it's important that we try to work with the halls to have these different potential rental levels based on usage. But I think the best route moving forward at this point is to have staff come back with a report to outline some different models and opportunities we have. Because the last thing we want to do is tie your committee and board's hands on maximizing number of rentals. At the end of the day, as long as the operations cost and the business model works, then that's, I think, what the end goal is for all of us. So, and I don't want to leave it at that, but just before, unless somebody else has questions, I really do want to commend your board and you as well, Rebecca, for all the work you did. I know the hall, COVID hit all the halls in a very drastic manner, and to resurrect that hall to the level that the committee has, our hats are all off to you. That is amazing what you've done. My number one concern always is don't burn yourselves out over it, and I know you have your own strategy and plan on bringing more people of the community in to be a part of it, so that 7 or 8 people get burnt out after 4 years, and then we end out in a bad spot. But I think you've put together a very strong plan, and you guys have executed it amazingly. So I really do commend you and all your board members and committee members, because you're a very important part, not just to Hawkstone, but the entire Oro-Medonte community. So
no, I appreciate that. And if I could just interject, for sure. I mean, I appreciate the sustainability, and I would say that that's actually sort of one of the defenses for this group, is that some of these groups are our source for carrying on that sustainability. They're the so many of these people are the very same people that are out, watering our summer flowers, and they're developing the trails and keeping those maintained. They're the same people that are coming to those groups, are on our board, are perpetuating it. So I feel like it is a win-win that way in terms of our sustainability, and the more of these groups that, it is a bit of because I think if we were to raise the rates to the point that they couldn't be a part of it, then that's the end, But the more we can do to have some flexibility around who we can have in there, then I think that's how we build our sustainability. But I appreciate your words, and certainly a valuable team we have, amazing people, including the fact that on our board, almost half of our board are young people, which has been our big mandate to keep it going, to keep it moving, to hand it over. They're the ones that we want to invest in, get their families involved, know that they will take it and run with it. So that's been a huge part of what we're trying to do. That's
perfect. Thank you very much. Now, is there any other questions from council members at this time? So, Madam Clerk, do we have a motion to request for a report to come back from staff regarding this?
Would you like me to read it
Please,
now?
if you could read it.
Thank you. Moved by Bard, seconded by Young, be it resolved that the deputation by Rebecca Rogers on behalf of the Hawkstone Community Hall request to establish a permanent exemption category be received and referred to staff for report back to council.
Thank you. Any questions on that? I'll call the vote. All in favor? And you can gladly mark that unanimous.
Thank you.
Rebecca, thank you very much. you know, continue the great, amazing work that you and all the halls have done in this community. But my hat goes off to how you people have brought this hall back to life.
So to clarify, what am I saying back to people that for next year's fees?
Well, we're going to have staff come back with a report. It'll be within the next month or month and a half at the most, and then we can take it from there.
Okay, just
Okay.
for their planning to know
Yep.
what's ahead for them. All right, that's
Okay.
great. Thank you. Any of you are welcome to, follow us on Facebook so you know what's happening at our hall, and you're welcome to come to any of our events. We'd happy to welcome you there. Thanks very much for having me.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we're on to 9 identifications. If there's anyone in chamber that would like an item to move forward, if they're not staying around for the whole meeting, seeing none. Open forum, Madam Clerk, do we have anyone registered to speak at open forum today?
No, Mr. Mayor, we did not receive any registrations.
Okay, that's fine. There's no one in chamber that has any topics they want to address. So we'll move on to 11, reports of municipal officers. I will just, if Mr. Van Boncourt, would you like to provide a brief or a summary in regards to this matter, please?
Thank you, Your Worship. Good afternoon, members of council. Yes, on your agenda, there's a report that was authored by Mr. Binns and myself dealing with the proposed Orillia boundary expansion. The city of Orillia has been going through a municipal comprehensive review process since 2018. And they've done a number of studies and forecasts and whatnot, and they've identified that their population is to grow to 49,000 persons by 2051, and with employment of 26,000. And to put that in context, at the 2021 census, their population was 33,411, and they had employment of 500 persons. So they've been looking at their land needs in order to accommodate this population increase. And they've looked at a few options, but they've settled on one option which they're looking to increase the density of development that occurs within the city boundaries, new development at 47 units per hectare. And they're looking at a boundary adjustment. So they're trying to accommodate as much as they can within their existing boundary, but they need some additional land. And they've identified 195 acres, developable hectares, I should say, between the townships of Oro-Medonte and Severin. And in the report before you, there are 2 options. There's option 1, which is the option being recommended by staff, and it has 31.9 developable hectares proposed in Oro-Medonte. So out of that 195, 31.9 would be in Oro-Medonte, and that is outlined in 2 parcels. There's one large parcel south of Memorial Drive. A lot of it is EP. There's some employment land potential. And then there's a small parcel of land up by Highway 12. So that's under option 1. And option 2, it's the same. One of the parcels is the same employment parcels just south of Memorial Drive, but they're also looking at a large parcel in addition to that parcel for a total of 58.7 hectares of developable land. And again, that's the Oro-Medonte component, and the balance would be sought through Severin. So this city of Aurelia has been very open and transparent with its neighbors, have engaged the municipalities all the way through this process. This was information was provided to Oro-Medonte in mid-December. Staff are currently reviewing it. The city of Aurelia is hosting a hybrid open house on January 29th. To receive comments from the public. And it's staff's intent to review the supporting documents, the planning justification report, do financial analysis of the proposal and come back to council with a report in February. So that's our game plan. And your worship, I'll stop there and be available for any questions. Thank you.
Members of council, is there any questions for Mr. Van Boncourt? No. Okay, so I just, a comment, Mr. Van Boncourt, just so that we're all, just the Coles Notes version. So basically, option 1 is what the city of Aurelia's staff is recommending, not option 2. And just so I'm, for the public, option 1 shows 76.6 hectares. Which is equivalent to 190 acres, I believe. And then the remainder of that would come from Severn Township. And that, I believe, was the shift for more focus on Severn was based through the MCR process where they identify between traffic concerns on the 15th and the fact that there's EP and wetlands along the 15th, as well as prime agricultural, and they want it to focus on less valuable land. Is that correct?
Yes, your worship, that is correct. They did circulate an earlier option to the municipality, and the Township of Oro-Medonte did provide comments back to the city along the line of what you've just mentioned. And since then, the city has refined their options, and option 1 is the staff's preferred option.
Thank you. And I think for the public, the important thing is this request started off, I believe, at about 232 hectares, which was over 500 acres. And we're going to end up with about 190 if option 1 is the one that is passed. And if you look at, and I think we have to look at this in a positive light, is the land that, the biggest piece of land that's coming from Oro-Medonte is at the corner of Memorial and Woodland, and we don't have wastewater services there to accommodate a facility on that land, which would tie up a lot of area for a field tiles. And so this is a win-win. It's a land that we can't really fully utilize to its full potential, and Aurelia can utilize it, and it doesn't really impact us to any significance of negativity. I think the other thing we have to look at this, as we've been approached on both fronts between Barrie and Aurelia, and I think this council and the facilitation team should be very proud that at the end of all of this, we will be in a better financial situation when we get our compensation. But we have not lost a full concession of land. So I think if you take the area that a normal concession takes in, between both annexation projects, it would be less than that. So I think that's something that we should be very proud of when we looked at what was on the table initially, which was substantially more. So if there's no other questions, Madam Clerk, or is there any other comments from staff on this matter? If not, then can we have the motion, please?
Moved by Shell, seconded.
Sorry, my apologies. Councillor Young had a question.
Yeah, thank you. I guess it's a really preliminary matter, but you mentioned compensation. Have we been any idea what they're prepared to pay per acre or hectare at this stage?
In Aurelia, at this point, no, we're not there yet. They have to, and then we'll deal with that at that time.
Just to that, is there any idea, I mean, would it be equal somewhat to Barrie's offering? Or I guess it depends on the land and that
Well,
sort of
it
thing.
depends. There may be other options or alternative compensation models that we look at. So at this point, I don't want to say one thing or the other to give up any false hopes. Sorry. Deputy Mayor Lavoie.
Yeah, just for clarity, Mr. Vadaboncourt, I believe the number from the Barrie annexation was 0.2% of Oro-Medonte's landmass.
7.7.
Through you, your worship, to the deputy mayor, I don't have the figure in front of me, but it was a very small percentage, I can say that, yeah.
Right. So we're talking about, somewhere between 1/200th and 1/500th of the landmass of Oro-Medonte. So just to reinforce the mayor's point that it's, somewhat less than a concession, and certainly not a concession from north to south.
No.
Yeah.
I think, and I may be, I think it was, in totality, it's less than 1% of the land mass of Oro-Medonte that is being taken in through both annexations. So, Madam Clerk, sorry, my apologies for the interruption, but could you read the motion now, please?
Moved by Shell, seconded by Hutchison. Be it resolved, one, that CAO 2026-1, Sean Binns, Chief Administrative Officer, George Vadaboncourt, Manager Planning, Special Projects, proposed City of Aurelia Settlement Area Boundary Expansion be received and adopted. Two, that staff be directed to review the boundary adjustment options proposed by the City of Aurelia and return to Council with recommended comments to share with the City.
Okay, everyone's heard the motion. I'll call the vote. All in favor? That is carried. May we now have the draft motion for item 11B, Madam Clerk?
Moved by Lavoie, seconded by Bard. Be it resolved, one, that FES 2026-1, Rory Payment, Director, Fire and Emergency Services, Fire Chief, re 2026 Fire Dispatch and 911 Answering Services Agreements be received and adopted. Two, that the Director of Fire and Emergency Services / Fire Chief be authorized to sign the agreement for the 2026 Fire Dispatch and 911 Answering Services Agreements with the City of Aurelia. Three, that staff bring forward the appropriate draft bylaw for Council's consideration. And four, that the City of Aurelia Fire Chief be notified of Council's decision under the Director of Fire Chief Emergency Services Fire Chief's signature.
Okay, thank you very much, Council. The floor is open if there's any questions or comments regarding this. Pretty straightforward. And I'll call the vote. All in favor? That is carried. And I want to thank Chief Payment for, I know you had a very busy, your crews were very busy over the winter break with a lot of car accidents and issues along Highway 11 and throughout the township. So thank you for all the work and all the best in 2026. Okay, we're now at 11C. Madam Clerk, may I have a motion, please?
Moved by Bard, seconded by Clark. Be it resolved, one, that OCS 2026-1, Justin Metris, Manager, Infrastructure and Capital Projects, re-expropriation of land 1920 and 1922 Warminster Side Road be received and adopted as amended to update the mapping for the two locations. Two, that staff be authorized to initiate and conduct expropriation proceedings for the portions of 1922 and 1926 Warminster Side Road outlined in Appendix A. Three, that staff be directed to register and distribute all required plans and notices in accordance with statutory requirements. Four, that staff be directed to bring necessary bylaws to a future council meeting for approval.
Thank you very much, members of council. The floor is now open for any questions or comments regards to this matter. Councillor Bard.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you. I noticed in the report, and I guess I'm just looking for confirmation that going through this process, there's still the opportunity and maybe the appetite to continue negotiations. And if an agreement comes during the process, then the process can stop and we can go ahead with the agreement. So just maybe some clarity on that, please.
Dylan, please.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. Through you to Councillor Bard. Correct. So good faith negotiations can still continue throughout the process here. So if we are able to reach an agreement at any point in time, staff would again cease proceedings and inform council at that point in time.
Any other questions? Seeing none, then I'll call the vote. All in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. And we're now on item D, 11DE, now for very similar in nature. So if I can have consent that all three reports can be considered and passed in aggregate, is council fine with that? Okay, so Madam Clerk, could you please read the motion, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And it was just brought to my attention that the motion that read the two locations, they just need updated to 1922 and 1926. I've made that note.
Okay.
Thank you very much. The motion, the aggregated motion would be moved by Clark, seconded by Shall. Be it resolved that items 11D, E, and F, reports DS 2026-1, 2026-2, and 2026-3 be received and adopted, and the recommendations as outlined in the three agenda reports be approved.
Any questions on comments on this? It's pretty straightforward. I'll call the vote. All in favor? Any opposed? There's none opposed. That is carried. Reports of municipal officers. Mr. Van Boncourt, would you like to provide summary comments in regards to 12A?
Thank you, Worship. In your agenda package is an information report on a site plan amendment application submitted by Line 6 Inc. or Carmel Farms at 837 Line 7 South. This facility currently is a cannabis growing and processing facility. And the site plan application is to add a 32,000 square foot detached shipping and receiving building on the site, located about 100 feet or 35 meters from the existing building. So it'll be a detached building. The site has a total area of 154 acres. The current zoning on the site is agriculture rural, with an exception that permits the cannabis facility, the growing and processing of cannabis. The facility is licensed under Health Canada with respect to the production of cannabis. There is an H on the property, and that is to ensure that the development agreement for the expansion is entered into and registered on title. So once that occurs, then the holding symbol would be lifted and the applicant would be eligible for a building permit. The zoning that I referred to earlier was approved by the OLT. And in addition to approving the zoning, the OLT approved minutes of settlement that had been established between the municipality and the applicant dealing with the potential future expansion of the facility. And the OLT approved a development agreement as part of their decision. And in your report is attached a copy of that development agreement. And under the terms of the minutes of settlement, the development agreement essentially has to be very similar to what is proposed or what has been approved. The application is currently on circulation to technical agencies and staff with the comments due next week. And staff will review the application and work with the agent for the applicant on any minor adjustments that are required to the agreement. In the agreement, there are specific provisions dealing with matters related to the production and processing of cannabis. One of those is odors, and there is a requirement with respect to the owners of the facility to minimize any extraneous odors that are emanating from the facility, and to address them. There's some other conditions as well. I must add, and I forgot to mention this earlier, is that there's no proposed increase in production or processing through the expansion. Basically, it's just going to be a shipping and receiving facility. They're going to move some administrative offices from the current building into the new building. So all the ventilation systems that currently exist on the building where the production takes place will not be impacted by the addition. Your Worship, I think that concludes my comments, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Van Boncourt. Council members, I will open the floor at this time for questions or discussion. Deputy Mayor Lavoie.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. And thank you, Mr. Van Boncourt, for this report and drawing attention to the matter of the odor control. There have been persisting concerns with regards to people who live in the settlement area of Oro Station and the odors that do emanate from this facility. And my first question was really going to be about whether or not a requirement to have a public meeting with regard to the odor control of the people in that area could be had through this process, or whether or not such a meeting could be compelled or not, rather. So if you could answer that, please.
Thank you, and I'm not sure if Mr. Spagno wants to jump in or not, but certainly there have been, since the facility operated, there have been concerns expressed, and staff are certainly aware of those concerns. And the operator has taken measures to minimize the impact of the odors. As I indicated, the plant, including any nuisances, are regulated through Health Canada, and Health Canada has protocols in place to deal with complaints about odors. They have an online form that is to be completed. They have a 1-866 number to call, and they also encourage anybody that has a concern to speak with a representative at the plant directly and outline their concerns. So the point I'm making is that there may be an opportunity to advise the community of the steps that the operator has taken over the years to address the odor concerns. And as I understand from the Deputy Mayor and our staff, is that they do on occasion detect odors in the area. It's not 100% that there's no odors. So we have not talked to the agent for the applicant at this point with respect to any thoughts about that, but certainly it's something we could take back, and I'll pause there and see if the director has any comments.
Mr. Spagno.
Thank you, Mayor Greenlaw, and thank you, Mr. Badabunker. I think just to add to that, under the site plan process, the ability of the municipality to require a public consultation or a public meeting, it's not available under the site plan process. So such a requirement is something that would that it could be requested of the property owner, but there'd be very minimal, or there's limited ability of the municipality to require that under the Planning Act, and ultimately that request could be challenged to the Ontario Land Tribunal if the municipality tried to push that approach onto the property owner. That's the only piece of information I'd like to add. Thank you.
Thank you. Supplemental, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I certainly appreciate that if planning staff could discuss a voluntary meeting, perhaps hosted by the operator, that would be helpful, I think, to the situation. It is part of our municipal agreement with the operator that odor control does exist. So there could, be seen an obligation on behalf of the municipality through the agreement that we have reached via the OLT with the operators. So we'll leave it at that now for the possibility of a voluntary meeting, and hopefully we can hear back on that. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor. I guess the one thing is, and I agree, because odor is not to be a nuisance to the community surrounding the facility, but has the community reached out, because this is a federal matter, or it's under federal jurisdiction, and have they reached out to their MP, or have they reached out directly to Ottawa in regards to this matter? And if not, then I guess that's where we could be of some assistance, maybe for myself or yourself. We can reach out to MP Shipley to bring it to the Fed's attention. CAO Benz.
Thank you, Mayor Greenlaw. The deputies proposed a public information meeting, and for staff to reach out to the proponent to see about coordinating that. If that was the direction of council, we would need that in the motion. So, pardon me? It could be a separate motion, so we do have that prepared for council.
And I would then say, would you like the floor of that motion, Deputy Mayor Lavoie?
Yes, I would.
Okay, and is there a seconder? Yeah, no, I'm just getting clear. We're not. I'm just want.
Okay.
Okay, so, and then I know Councillor Young had a comment or a question, and Councillor Shell.
Yeah, just two things. I'll second the deputy's motion there, but I'm just curious, have the people down there had any word of it? Or maybe Britt or Mr. Swagnoli can, is there no sign up front or anything to that effect, or just word of mouth that they're getting or have some idea what's happening there?
Through you, your worship, there's no sign indicating. Certainly, I've made the local councillor aware of the proposed expansion, and my understanding is that the councillor has informed the neighboring residents that there's a proposed expansion.
Councillor Shell.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Greenlaw. Through you to Mr. Spagnell, I think, have there been any complaints or any violations against this operation since it started?
Through Mayor Greenlaw to Councillor Shell. I'm unaware of any formal complaints that have been issued with the municipality regarding odor, but my understanding is that there have been complaints and comments provided to the federal government about the facility and any odor issues that have revolved around that. I would have to follow up with bylaw enforcement to see if there have been formal complaints issued, but I'm unaware of any of it at this time.
Yep, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Yeah. Deputy Mayor Lavoie.
Yeah, I think, there's probably a little bit of, whose responsibility is this that has to do with this circumstance. Certainly the municipality finds itself in the front line of these situations, which are often the responsibility of the province or the federal government. I can tell you, in having had discussions with adjacent residents of this facility, that there are ongoing, and they're several, and they're numerous. And they have kept records. Whether they've provided them to municipalities, probably not the case in some regards, because there's no bylaw that exists for them to do that. However, there is language that binds the municipality in this development agreement that suggests that they're to prevent the escape of odors associated with cannabis plant material to the outdoors. That's not happening. I can tell you personally, because I drive up and down Line 7 frequently, and I smell cannabis frequently. So I think perhaps it's time to engage the language that we have. And if the proponent is not in a position to do so voluntarily with this, through this process presently, then that's fine. That's not an option that we can take up by way of enforcing an obligation on them that they don't have. So I would simply say then at that point, I'd like to put a motion on the floor that invites them to do so, and invite council also to participate in that. If council deems that they don't want to do that, that's fine as well. Then the matter can be handled in another fashion. So I'll leave it at that for now, and we can move forward perhaps with two separate motions, which might be the cleaner way to do things. Thank you.
Okay. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If council would like to deal with the next report, it's a standard motion to receive both of those items, and then council can consider a subsequent motion as discussed.
Okay, so can we have the motions then, please?
So if you'd like to, if council would like to deal with 12B, if for Mr. Spagno to provide a summary for that, and any questions or comments from council, we can vote on that standard motion to receive, and then we can deal with the subsequent motion
Okay.
as we've discussed.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Spagno.
Thank you, Mayor Greenlaw and Council. The information report that's sitting before Council this evening is related to OLT file OLT 24-00037, and that's an Ontario Land Tribunal case that's dealing with appeals tied to the short-term rental accommodation official plan policies and the related appeals. Council will recall that the township's official plan was originally adopted on October 5th, 2025. And after that, the County of Simcoe approved the official plan on November 14th, 2025. As a result of those approvals, there was 5 appeals that were filed. 2 of those appeals were removed, and there was 3 remaining appeals that were tied directly to Section 4.13 of the new official plan, which are the short-term rental accommodation policies. As a result of those appeals, and normally through an Ontario Land Tribunal process, there's various avenues that can be taken to try to resolve appeals. There could be contested hearings, which is where the sides that are involved, the parties, prepare cases and they go to a contested hearing and essentially fight over whether or not those policies are appropriate. There's another avenue where parties can sit down and have discussions on a confidential basis. This is on a without prejudice basis to try to resolve any issues that might be related to the appeals that have been filed. Through this process, what has occurred is there has been ongoing discussions, without prejudice discussions, looking for avenues to try to resolve those appeals by way of settlement. Typically, resolving appeals by way of settlement is a less costly avenue because you're not spending dollars on expensive lawyer fees for preparing cases to be fought at without any guarantee of success at the tribunal. So the avenue for resolving appeals are either a contested hearing or settlement. And with respect to this matter, the matter is really around the official plan policies tied to short-term rentals, which establish a framework for land use within the municipality. And the importance of having an official plan policy is really to set the stage for how short-term rentals are to be dealt with from a planning perspective. It provides guidance as to what needs to be considered when short-term rental accommodations are being introduced to an area, and it provides the overall direction of where the municipality wants to go with respect to short-term rental accommodations in this case. So in an effort to resolve those appeals, and I think it's important to also note that concurrent with those without prejudice discussions that have occurred as part of this process, the township has undergone a significant amount of work. That work included a public information session and an open dialogue related to enforcement matters and some of the issues with enforcement matters. A case review and best practice review of what other municipalities have done in the area and across the province with respect to short-term rentals. There has been a significant review of legal decisions that have been made with respect to Ontario Land Tribunal cases, also court cases specific to the township. And there was also a public consultation that was completed to inform a short-term rental accommodation licensing program, which the municipality initiated. It's important to note that as a result of that concurrent work, the municipality has identified, and there have been 7 key objectives and principles that have been identified through that work. Those principles are meant to ensure that neighborhood safety is maintained, ensure that life safety provisions are included within any short-term rental accommodation, provide clear policy guidance, provide for an effective enforcement framework, and also provide for fiscal sustainability. That has all been considered while going through this process of litigation and the appeals. As a result of those discussions, as a result of revisions to the adopted policies, there have been formal minutes of settlement that have been prepared and agreed to by all parties in order to bring those revised short-term residential accommodation policies into effect. And as a result of that, the Ontario Land Tribunal has been notified of the settlement and of the revised official plan policies. And a virtual settlement hearing has been scheduled for February 12th, 2026. Ultimately, it is through the Ontario Land Tribunal process that the matters need to be resolved in, because it's a process and they have been appealed, the policies have been appealed to the tribunal. And essentially, there's 2 processes that are in play here. There's the Ontario Land Tribunal process, which I just mentioned for the virtual settlement hearing. And as far as next steps go for the municipality, there's going to be a need for additional work that would have to occur. So post the land tribunal process, there is plan for an update report to update the public and council as to the outcome of the settlement hearing, and also to dive into some of the inputs and some of the provisions within the minutes of settlement that have been hopefully accepted by the Ontario Land Tribunal on the 12th of February. In addition, the township is also looking to provide for an updated framework report to deal with zoning options for future consultation to deal with short-term rental accommodations. And in addition to that, there would also need to be updates and revisions to the township's draft licensing bylaw, which has also been before this council and accepted in draft form, as there would have to be some minor revisions to that. In addition to that, there also needs to be, I spoke to the need for an effective mechanism for enforcement and fiscal sustainability and financial sustainability. There would also have to be updates to the administrative monetary penalty system to reflect the updated licensing bylaw. And depending on the outcome of the settlement hearing on the 12th, staff are working towards having the licensing bylaw in effect by June 2026. So that's an overview of what's in the report that's before council this evening. It's an information report to provide, again, an update to council and the public with respect to the status of those Ontario Land Tribunals and the next steps that the municipality is looking to move forward with. And I and the team are available to answer any questions that council would like to ask. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Spagnell. Council, I'll open the floor at this time for any questions, comments, or concerns regarding this matter. Councillor Shell?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Greenlaw. I would appreciate if we could go back to voting on each A and B separately, because I do not want to be involved with this one.
Okay, well, yeah, we can separate them, so are
Just
you?
for, just for accepting them. I understand this is just
Yeah.
an information and reports, and, you know, really, I don't want to be here for any discussion, so I think I'll just leave the room while you guys discuss.
So
You can call me back for the vote.
okay, so you want to recuse yourself from item B?
From item B, for your discussions. I just don't want to be here and have anybody feel uncomfortable.
Okay, just 1 second, sorry, Madam Clerk. So I would take it then Councillor Shell needs to identify he's recusing himself from item B. Is that correct?
Thank you, yes, and the reason for his disclosure.
Yes. So in order for you to leave or recuse yourself, you have to give the reason.
Yes, thank you. I own and operate a short-term rental.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. When we're done discussing and okay, thank you. Okay, so I will open the floor. I believe Deputy Mayor, you had a question or comment?
Yes, please. Thank you. I just wanted to comment that, or point out in the report, as it distinctly articulates that there will be no legal non-conforming use of short-term rentals established through this process, and that's very important. I know that that was important to the members of the public, or the 1,500 or some odd that that signed a petition back a few years ago. And also I did want to just get a little bit of clarification perhaps from staff on the draft licensing bylaw that's referenced here. So I'm presuming that once the OLT endorses, if that's the correct term, the agreement between the parties, then we can proceed next with the licensing the zoning bylaw changes that are required. And at that time, we were kind of previously looking at drafts where we had contemplated different scenarios where they might be as a matter of right in various areas and not in others, etc. So that would let us formulate that process going forward. So I'll just ask perhaps Director Spagnol to comment on that through you.
Mr. Spagnol, please.
Thank you, Mayor Greenlaw, through to Deputy Mayor Lavoie. There will be a report coming forward in February that does go over those zoning considerations, and it'll provide an outline of the outcome from the tribunal process as well. So there will be a subsequent report after February 12th for council to consider.
Any other comments or questions regarding this matter? Seeing none. So Madam Clerk, may I suggest first, can we vote on 12B and then we'll bring Councillor Shell back into the chamber?
Thank you. Moved by Clark, seconded by Bard. Be it resolved that the report as listed under item 12, reports of municipal officers for information only, be received. B, DS 2026-009, Brent Spagnol, Director, Development Services, RE-OLT 24-00037, short-term rental accommodation, official plan appeals update.
Okay. Any questions regarding the motion? Seeing none, I will call the vote. All in favor? Any opposed? There's none opposed. That is carried, Madam Clerk.
Thank you.
And if somebody could ask Councillor Shell to come back when he's... Okay, so Madam Clerk, if we could go back and to 12A and have the motion, please.
This next motion will be to receive 12A, moved by Clark, seconded by Young. Be it resolved that the report as listed under item 12, reports of municipal officers for information only, be received. 12A, DS 2026-007, George Vedabuncourt, Manager, Planning, Special Projects, Resite Plan Application 2025 SPA 11, Line 6 Inc., Carmel Farms, 837 Line 7 South, Township of Oro-Medonte.
You've heard the motion. All in favor? That is carried. And quit the second part that I believe was moved by Deputy Mayor Lavoie and seconded by Councillor Young.
Thank you. Moved by Lavoie, seconded by Young. Be it resolved that further to item 12A, DS 2026-007, staff be directed to liaise with the applicant to consider arranging a public information session. If that's sufficient with the mover and seconder?
It is with me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, it is. Thank you. We've heard the motion. I'll call the vote. All in favor? Any opposed? There are none opposed. That is carried. We're now on to item 13, reports and announcements. Are there any updates from members of council as township representatives of our partners and agencies, or announcements? I know we just came out of the holiday season, so there wasn't as much going on, but I know the deputy, would you like to give an update of county?
Yeah, that's precisely it. Yes, we did have a county council meeting yesterday and everything got started back up again. And on behalf of county council, Happy New Year, everybody. It's important to recognize that the age-friendly work by the county has been recognized by the World Health Organization, and they will be recognized in a formal ceremony this Sunday evening for that. So I do want to point out that there are a lot of programs available for seniors and assistance for seniors with regard to mobility devices or chair lifts and things like that. So please, if you find yourself in that sort of a situation, take advantage. You can make application. There's a $700,000 budget for that's funded by the county. The other thing I did want to make note of is that the Oro-Medonte endorsement of the Elect Respect pledge that was led here by Councillor Hutchison was read at County Council and received very well. And there was encouragement on behalf of the chair there, Lynn Dolan, for people to take the Elect Respect pledge. And I will say that I have done so myself, and my name is on the website along with Councillor Hutchison. So thank you very much, Councillor, for your leadership.
Yes. Well, I put my name. My name's there as well, so it took me a while to figure it out, but it's there. Is there any other updates from committees? None? Okay, so we'll move on now to the consent agenda. Is there any items that anyone wishes to pull to change staff recommendation? Seeing none, the one thing I would like to just, without polling it, I'd just like to speak to E and J briefly. I want to express the importance that, those, the public meeting in Aurelia in regards to the expansion request by the city of Aurelia is Thursday, January 29th at 6 p.m. And, it would be, if nothing else, it's a great informative session. If you do have time to attend, it would be great. And it's also important to give feedback to our municipal neighbors through the process as residents of Oro-Medonte. And then the other one I would just like to speak to briefly is J, which is to do with the boundary adjustments and the communications that were received. So there were two communications that were received there, and I just want to highlight a couple of things in them. And the first one was from the Dan Matheson, so the facilitations office, and it's important, the sentences that I think are towards the latter part, the last three paragraphs. It says, "It is my recommendation and minister's intent that the core compensation reflect the amount set out in the framework agreement approved by the city of Barrie on October 1st, 2025. So I think that's a very positive message. And then in the following paragraph says the Office of the Provincial Land and development facilitator will provide draft compensation agreements to each municipality shortly and will reach out to the office to schedule a meeting. And that notice came today, just before this meeting started, and in it says the Office of the Provincial Land Development Facilitator will provide draft compensatory agreements reflecting the amount set out in the framework agreement previously approved by the City of Barrie. So I think those are very positive messages that we will get the full compensation, and I trust and know that our engagement with Minister Flack and the facilitation office has been very, very good throughout the process, and they will do everything within their power to expedite that, and we're hopeful that, you know, those funds will be received by the end of the month. And then there was also another letter that, and this went out to myself, but it was on behalf of the entire facilitation team from the facilitator's office. And I think it's important that the public knows that we were we volunteered to be a part of this process. And two sentences that stood out to me. It said, your constructive approach, steady leadership, and willingness to work collaboratively with all partners have been invaluable in moving this important file forward. Please accept sincere appreciation for your commitment to finding practical shared solutions in, excuse me, in the best interest of your community and the broader region. So, you know, this is to the entire facilitation team who put a ton of work in throughout the process. And I think, you know, the facilitation team should be very proud of what they did, and this council for supporting what we needed to do to help the broader region as a whole, but also ensure that the township got compensation for the lands that are being provided to assist the province and our neighboring municipalities. So that's all I really wanted to say on that, but I wanted to make the public aware that we did everything we could for the betterment of Oro-Medonte and the regional marketing area, and kudos to the facilitation team and council. Thank you. Is there anything else at this time? Then we'll move on to our bylaws. Sorry, Madam Clerk.
We have a motion prepared
Oh,
for the
yeah, to
consent
receive.
agenda. Thank you.
Yes, please, to receive the consent agenda.
Thank you. Moved by Lavoie, seconded by Shell. Be it resolved that the staff recommendations with respect to the items listed under consent agenda correspondence be adopted as printed.
All in favor? That is carried. We have no communication petitions, no notice of motions. Now at our bylaws, 17 draft. May we have a draft motion for the bylaws, Madam Clerk?
Moved by Bard, seconded by Hutchison. Be it resolved that bylaw numbers 2026 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 11, and 12 be passed in open council on the 14th day of January 2026.
All in favor? Any opposed? There's none opposed. That's carried. There are no further closed session items. Could we have the confirmation bylaw, please?
Moved by Clark, seconded by Lavoie. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2026-013, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the council meeting held on Wednesday, January 14, 2026, be passed in open council on the 14th day of January 2026.
All in favor? That is carried. May we have a motion to adjourn, please?
Moved by Young, seconded by Bard. Be it resolved that we do now adjourn at 5:15 p.m.
All in favor? That is carried. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a great evening and enjoy the rest of the week.